Salesman Sam with Churchill Equipment. This is going to be our discussion talking about the front mount MacDon header that we ran this previous season of 2024. Long story short, this works. It really does. Both the 13 and the 16, just an amazing option that is in the industry now. We ran both the 16 push and pull with just the standard pull type, both 16 and 13. If you're looking to knock down acres quickly, cutting with two 16s is just phenomenal. I mean, we ran it on the Fendt 724 Gen 7, and the amount of hay we could knock down was just mind-boggling. In the comfort of it, you can't compete. There was just a couple things that we observed that we really liked, and then there's also things that we observed that were kind of compromises that, if you're comparing to a self-propelled windrower, that have to be taken into consideration if you're thinking about going with a front mount header. So a few things that were just a positive is that running it on a tractor, well, and even especially on a Fendt, the amount of cab noise is unbelievably quiet. It's just so quiet. Your header is all the way up front, and we're running PTO drive instead of hydraulic drive, so you don't have a hydraulic whine. Just in general, the Fendt tractors are so quiet, so you can barely hear the header running at the RPM that the disc cutter's running. So you're at 2100 RPM on the header, and your tractor's running at 1600 engine RPM, and it's really quiet. Something else we observed that was just wonderful is the fuel burn on the 724 Gen 7. We were maxing out the fuel burn at about 10.5 to 10.9 gallons per hour, running both headers, going about 10 miles an hour in first cutting alfalfa. At the same time, we were cutting in the field with a self-propelled windrower, and they were burning about 7.6 to 8 gallons an hour and cutting the same speed. So we're doing twice as much cutting with only 2.5 to 3 gallons more fuel. In that situation too, what we observed is it's big, it's bulky, it's not as nimble as a self-propelled. So your turnaround time at the end is longer. You can't just lift up, whip around, and dip back into the hay. It takes a little bit more time. But man, once you're cutting and you're going, you can't compete. You're knocking twice as much down. So you shave a little bit time on the end turning around, but ultimately you're being way more efficient. I think we were close to 40 acres an hour cutting at 10 miles per hour. I mean, you just can't compete with that. So efficiency-wise, unbelievable. And that was with two. So we also did quite a bit of cutting just like this. This was the Fendt 720 Gen 6 running the 13-foot with a counterweight out the back. We did quite a bit of cutting just like this. And it's not as efficient as a self-propelled from the standpoint of, if you're going side by side with one header, a self-propelled is going to be far more efficient. There's no argument to that. The tractor's more efficient on fuel, but your efficiency of cutting time is not as good. It's just not as nimble. But that comes back to the whole argument of why we're doing this. The tractor can be unhooked from the header and put the loader on, and we get to use the tractor year-round, or we can do tillage with it. We're utilizing a tractor year-round. No, it is not as efficient as a self-propelled by itself. The moment you put a pull type behind and you cut with two headers, you can't argue that it's going to be more efficient. So that element was amazing. It was a joy to cut. We were laughing driving on a pivot. The difference of you're steering with a steering wheel on a tractor with, you put your arm on the armrest and you just drive, and it's comfortable. On a self-propelled swather, if you're not driving with GPS, you're constantly fighting. It's a constant fight, and especially on a pivot, you just are constantly moving. Whereas with a tractor, hand driving on a pivot was a dream. It was like I could do this all day without even thinking about running GPS. that was wonderful. Some of the compromises that we found is definitely one of the concerns that people had was windrow width. And you are limited on the spacing of your tractor, no doubt, but also the windrow formation, how your shields, you know, and if you want to come over here, on a Fendt tractor, it's a very close coupled connection point. And Fendt has designed their 3-point system to be integrated. I mean, the frame is forged with the purpose of putting a front 3-point on. It's a very nice, close coupled connection, but that also limits your ability of how your windrow formation can happen, both in width and in height. So we observed that, and we were able to, you know, go through that and make a pretty nice windrow. We didn't have any complaints with the 720 and the 13 on dry down. We did have some complaints on the 16-foot because our tires were bigger and we couldn't get it as wide. We didn't have the right tire setup for that. So there were complaints on running over crop, just like you would if you were doing a pull type by itself. So definitely need, if you do pursue this, we need to make sure that your tires can clear wider than what we could with that 724. So that was a negative. The other element is at the end when you're turning around. Ideally, if you want to go to the next pass, you got to have, if you're doing front and rear, you got to have 6 windrow cuts at the end, or you've got to just do skips. And if your GPS is accurate enough to allow for skips. Another thing that we really love the ability to roading down the road with a tractor versus a swather. Every time I take a self-propelled swather down the road, 13 or 16 foot, MacDon, Massey, MacDon does the reverse station. I would say that actually is pretty good. Massey does the rear steer on there, so that's pretty comfortable. But if you don't have the MacDon reverse station, there's always this pucker up factor that you're like, I'm going to take out mailboxes, I'm going to end up in the ditch, I'm going to take out a car. You're just always that boom, boom, and it's sometimes rather terrifying. But in a tractor, you have a steering wheel that it's just like driving a tractor down the road. There's no real fear of that. And then plus with the Fendt, you got 32 miles an hour, and if you're pulling the pull type behind you, you got 2 swathers ripping down the road at 32 miles an hour, and you're comfortable. So just efficiency from going from one field to the next field, you can't beat that. And then also just the safety factor of not taking out cars or ending up in the ditch. Another thing that on a tractor, you have 4-wheel drive. How many times have you been stuck in a self-propelled windrower where if you had been in a tractor, you could have just backed out or driven out, whatever. But with a tractor, you can just engage 4-wheel drive and off you go. So there's definitely operations that this fits. I think there are many places in operations that this fits. If you're cutting 1,000 acres of hay and you're trying to utilize equipment more efficiently, this is something that you should really look into. If you're a custom cutter, I would strongly encourage looking into that. You can't beat twice the efficiency. So there's that. If it is something that as a business you're looking at, increasing ROI and being more efficient with your equipment, I think this is a solution that you really should look into. There are some cons. It's not a self-propelled windrower. It is not. It will not take the place of one, but it definitely fits certain places in certain operations better than a self-propelled. It's a solution to have a tractor year-round and to utilize a nice tractor year-round versus having a very expensive windrower in the shed for 9 months out of the year that you're paying interest on, or have a big payment. Resale value of a tractor after 5 years versus with a windrower. I think your resale value of a tractor is going to be better in the long run too. So there's many different ways to go about and think about it. In the long run, I'm very excited about this product. I think it's something that we are going to be selling a lot more of. I'm excited for MacDon's support. They're going to be continually trying to refine it. There's a few things that they're going to try to refine. And I'm excited for the future. I think they have a great product. So if you are interested in this, you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us here at Churchill Equipment. You can ask for me. Love to talk to you about it and give firsthand experience. And then, or contact your local dealer and just say, hey, what's the story? I do know that for 2025, it's going to be a limited production again. So if you are interested in doing this and getting some demos for the season of 2025, get a hold of your dealer now. See if you can get your name on one at the very least, or start thinking through how you're going to demo it or have your dealer demo it. So, yeah, I guess all that to say, if you are interested in this, look hard at it. It's a good product. It's MacDon's engineering, MacDon's support. They've been great. They've been wonderful having as a just corporate support as we try to push this product. So yeah, I don't think it's just a product to push as a salesman, but I think it's a genuine product that can help your farm be more efficient and more productive. So there you go. Thank you so much. Have a great day.